Welcome to Vision Plus, a program featuring a positive outlook, dealing with everyday situations of marriage, children, and business. Believing Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. Teacher, author, speaker, delighting audiences from New York to Sacramento with a heart and message for the people today. Bonnie would like to remind you of the 800 number on the screen. Please feel free to call at any time throughout the broadcast and share your concerns. Leave your prayer request and someone will pray with you. And now, teacher, author, and speaker.
Hello and welcome. You may hear this twice because I said that also when we were in Wasilla, Alaska, interviewing the people from Nome, Alaska. And what you're going to see on this videotape is something I want to encourage you to do, and that's to go to Alaska. Now we went, my husband Tony and I went as a result of our bucket list. Thank you, Mr. Freeman and the people on the bucket list movie. And what we wanted to do was see Alaska, which we had thought about for years and years and years. And we want to see the Aurora Borealis, the northern lights. And also I was to speak to the women of Anchorage, Alaska. And we flew up there because we had taken several cruises. And so we wanted to fly right on into Anchorage. And then we spent the night there, got up the next morning and took the train, the most wonderful, delightful Alaska Railroad train, and took it north, got off at Wasilla, that's where Sarah Palin's from, spent the night there in a resort right on the lake. The most amazing thing, I told Tony, I said, look out here, there's a truck driving out here on the lake and 3 4-wheelers. And then they stopped and they just stayed there for a while. I said, what are they doing? He said, they're ice fishing. They just dig a hole in the ice. Well, actually, they drill one through 15 inches to 3 feet of ice that's over the lake, and they fish and they catch their fish and go home and cook them. And it was just a really incredible time. You cannot believe how beautiful the Aurora Borealis is. There in, as it got late or very clear, cold morning over Lake Lucille, and we could see the aqua. Now this is actually a hand-painted scarf from Alaska, and it is a depiction of the Aurora Borealis with all the gorgeous colors. It's impossible to believe that something could be that vibrant, and so that was really beautiful. And then we got to see the moose, and one of the things that they had there we will probably never see in the headlines of the Huntsville Times, but the Anchorage News said, roadkill, wanted someone to come and clean up the meat, and they actually take the meat to a children's home or some type of facility, a church or a school, and it makes meat for a long time because there's hundreds of pounds of meat on the moose. Now when we were on the trains, we would see, well, one time one over on this side, and one time there was an opening kind of in the clearing of an area, and a batch of them. Someone said they counted 16. I didn't count that fast, but anyway, it was interesting to see the moose. They're big. I didn't realize they were that large, and it was just wonderful people. It supposedly is about the size of Huntsville, have 270,000 people there, and Huntsville and Anchorage have something in common, and that is they're each one of the top 10 places voted to be the best place to live and work and to raise your family. Now they had some things there that we will not have, even though we had a lot of snow. The snow doesn't stay here like it does there. And we also will not see the headline of roadkill, moose meat. And they have some things that we don't have. You'd think they did. They have a lot of museums about the Native Alaskans and about the history in World War II when they were so involved in the Second World War. And I didn't realize they were that involved in it. And also that this one railroad we took, the Alaska Railroad, there's not a lot of places you can drive to in Alaska. Most every place you go to, you have to take a plane. And when we were in one of the hotels, I asked the young men there what they were doing. They said they were bush pilots, so they fly the people to, whether it's to Nome or, well, Alaska Airlines does go into Nome, but there's a lot of places that only the bush pilots fly into. But if you want a treat of your lifetime, you want to go to Alaska and see it. I am so glad that it was on our bucket list, and also speaking there, and that Tony was willing to go, and it was more than I envisioned. The people are precious. The church was they were so warm, and in fact, one church invited women from a couple other churches there, and they had more that actually turned out than they expected, because I guess they don't have too many speakers come up from the lower 48, especially as far south as we are here in Huntsville, Alabama. When we were at one of the churches in Wasilla, they said, well, we have another visitor here from the south, and from Franklin, Tennessee. And so after church, we went over to see her, and she said her name was Duncan, beautiful girl. And I said, oh, we know some Duncans in Huntsville. She said, I used to live in Huntsville. And I said, I knew Joyce and Curtis Duncan. She said, that's my grandparents. I'm the daughter of Brent Duncan. And I said, Brent, had been our insurance guy for a dozen years. And she was just so precious, and it was so wonderful to see someone there and how they're dedicated to the Lord Jesus Christ. And we hope you will be too. Well, watch this and hear about this guy from Nome, Alaska, and his wife, and the trip, and some of the things we did at the seminar too, called Women of the Future. I'll be back in just a moment. Plans, but then 3 children later, we decided that wasn't a good idea at that moment, because we ran out of, there was too much month at the end of the money. So we decided to stay put. But now at last, we at least get to come up here. And we went to Wasilla and on the train, and we did get to see some northern lights, believe it or not, over the lake there. So we were so excited. It was about the color of your sweater. It was about, oh, so beautiful. All right, so you just keep those close to you, hon, and then somebody else comes in. Would you do that? Just take them back and take them close to you. We just thought it'd be fun and have something from our little area of town, the Space and Rocket Center. So I wanted to ask, how many of you have ever tried something that did not work as well as you'd like for it to? Let's see, some hands. You tried something, and whatever it was, from cooking to cleaning to working at a job or having a relationship. Let me see your hands again. Wait till you get the heat of working in a cotton patch. And so I finally got into radio and then television. Come right on up and join us, Miss. Oh, you've got some things there. Great. Taylor, you have more jobs to do. But anyway, as I started working in television, which I do now, in fact, we interviewed somebody yesterday that's from Nome, Alaska, and they were down R&R in Wasilla. But anyway, they came out. I didn't care much about purple cereal and some of the things they'd send me, hoping I would use them on television. But one day, they came out with anti-aging. I thought, I'll try this. I'm smearing this all over my face. My little one's watching me. What are you going to do with that? What's that for, Mommy? I said, that's going to make me beautiful. He didn't take his eyes off, just watch me for the next 30 minutes. And then when I wiped it off, he said, It didn't work, did it, Mother? We've tried things over the years and they don't work as well as we'd like for them to. But we want to work with something we call Women of the Future. How in the world can we make, I brought a bulletin from our town so that I could let her see a little bit about our church back in Huntsville, Alabama, how we do things. So I'll give that to her, to Miss Terry. Terry, hold up your hand and tell us a little bit about yourself, because we have all done that and you're the last one. So stand up and tell us your name. Maybe somebody from DeBar or Susan, she may not have met you.
My name is Terry Lee. We've been at this congregation for a long time. We've been in Alaska for 20 years.
Okay, hon, tell us about yourself.
And my name is Zoe Thomas, and we've been in Alaska with my husband for about 12 years now. I work with oil industry as a financial analyst. I have two girls, 11 and 8.
Where did you say you're from? I didn't catch that part.
I'm sorry?
Where are you from originally?
Russian?
Are you?
I'm from
Spasiba. Our daughter was a Russian interpreter. She and a group of her people took 1 million Bibles to the former Soviet Union over the years, shipped them and took them in the Russian language. And she loved the Russian people. And her babushkas, grandmothers. And so she was killed. And we honor her life by bringing people from the Soviet Union over here to the States. In Alabama, we've had people that their daddy was KGB, and they became Christians the year they were here. So that's our way of helping
Your
out.
microphone is not picking up. I can't
Okay.
hear you.
Someone that's smarter than I do?
Closer.
Okay, maybe I...
Run it up your collar closer to your mouth.
Scoot it up a little bit.
Maybe it's not even on, but it has a green line.
It's on, just move it up higher.
Oh, okay, I'll do that, because I can hear it. Okay. That's bad. Thank you. Because if you hadn't told me, I was going to fix it. Okay. Do I have it right now?
I can hear you all the way in there. They must be.
Okay, very good. Well, I want you to look to they have told me that all the women in Alaska are beautiful and so lovely. So what I want you to do, I want you to look at the person on your right. Every third person is so gorgeous and beautiful. Look to the person on your left.
See the back of your head.
Well, if it's not either one of them, it must be you that's beautiful. Do you have, in Alaska, do you have estate sales or yard sales or garage sales or anything like that? We do in Alabama, and so we learn to, that's where a lot of our things come from that we wear if we don't have them. And I love to go to them. I went one day to a yard sale, and my next door neighbor had it, and I bought a blouse that worked perfectly with what I had on. Put the blouse on and went to my kids' school. I went to the grocery store. I went to the radio station. Everywhere I went, the people that day were so sweet and wonderful. They were all just had this big smile on their face. Hi, Bonnie, because a lot of people knew me. And they just smiled and just almost laughed, everyone. And I thought, I've never seen the people so friendly before. I get back home, walk by the mirror in the hallway, and I thought, what is that? I looked at this big masking tape sign that said $1. So sometimes we have to learn to laugh at ourselves, don't we? In working in television, one of the things that I did was doing live newscast. I'm doing the news, and a guy dashed out of the control room over to my news desk, handed me a slip of paper. And I looked right into the camera and I said, "This news bulletin just handed me, there is something green on your teeth." And so I've learned that you have to just learn to laugh at yourself. Whatever goes on, just have fun with yourself, no matter what people say. How many of you like to decorate your bed, especially if your mother-in-law is coming over, put pillows on them? Make the bed and put the pillows. Let me see how many of you like to put pillows on your bed or some kind of decoration on your bed. I do. I like to put the pillows on my bed, you know, make the bed and then have some decorative pillows to put on the bed. And so one day I was really, really busy trying to get out the door. I said, "Tony, could you please make the bed?" So Tony made the bed. When I went through later, as I was on my way out to go to the store and station and all the things that we do, I looked over there. He had put the pillows on. He had put some of his caps and hats on there. He had put the stool upside down on there. He had taken things, candles that were on the side tables, everything that was on the side table. He had that bed loaded up with things to decorate the bed. And that just tickled me so much that he would do that. It was, I thought, oh, what a helpful person. But I had to take them off. It was just hilarious to me. How many of you do what we call set goals at the first of the year? You know, you think of what you want to accomplish that year. Maybe Terry takes care of her husband when he's ill and happy that he's going back to work. So how many of you have some kind of vision or objective or goal that you think, I love to see those hands go up. That's it. Do you mind telling me your goal, what you'd like to do?
My goal, yeah. I want to pay off my kids' debts that they got me into.
That's a great idea. Pay off the debts your kids got you into. They can do that, can't they? How many kids?
2, and they're old enough to know better.
Oh, okay. I call them boomerang kids. My daughter was away going to school for a long time, then she came home. Boomerang kid, I call them, and she said so she would stay up late at night, a lot later than I did. I go to bed with the chickens, and do we have chickens up here? I see a lot of animals, but I haven't seen any chickens yet. But anyway, I went into her room one morning and I sat on her bed and I said, Deanna. She opened one eye and looked up. I said, Deanna, what are your goals in life? Because we had talked about what is she going to do now that she's back home again. She said, my goal is to get you out of my room. So sometimes what our goals are and our children's goals are not always the same. Do you mind telling me what your goal is?
Mine actually is to take better care of my teeth because I just had a really kind of bad visit to the dentist and it was not a pleasant experience. And so my goal is to really brush my teeth 3 times a day if I can. So I don't want to go back.
No, that's a good goal to have. How many of you would like to lose another 5 or 8 pounds maybe this year? Think about it, eat better, and better think. Now, Susan, I didn't see you holding up your hand, so. So what are some other goals that maybe you could have? That this year of 2011, A Touch of Heaven in 2011, Taste of Heaven in 2011. Well, one of my goals was, of course, to come up here and see the Northern Lights and be available if there was a Terry Lee in the world that might like me to come and speak to the ladies about women of the future. And I just love having an opportunity. Tony and I have gone around the world speaking to people, and sometimes in, let's see, we were in Malmö, Sweden, And when you say one sentence, if a person understands English and might be funny to them, then they will laugh. And then when the interpreter says the other half, then the rest of the people would laugh. So it's fun to do things. And since I grew up, when I was a little girl, my dad had a Sherwin-Williams paint store. And the store burned, and there was not enough insurance to cover it. And so we had to move out into the country, and we had, you've heard the stories, no running water, no electricity. Our friends had 3 bedrooms and a bath. We had 3 rooms and a path to a little outhouse back here. And so I grew up, my kids say, yeah, I know, you walk 3 miles barefoot through the snow. Of course, there was very little snow in Arkansas. But they said, yeah, now it's 10 miles barefoot through the snow. So every time I tell the story of my childhood, it gets a little bit better, more, more interesting things happen that we have to decide. And I made a decision when my dad got radio for the first time. I could hear a little girl singing in it. I said, Mother, I would like to have a sister. And she said, well, I think you're already 7 years old. Probably won't have a sister that I could play with. I had 4 brothers, and I wanted a girl, a sister. How many of you have sisters? Oh, look at that. I am so jealous of you. Aren't you jealous of all these people that have sisters that they can yell at? I mean, that they can have fun with? And then, but when I listened to that radio and that little girl, I thought, I want to be on radio someday. Then, after I was on radio for about 6 years, interviewing people, because I went when I was 16 years old, and I said, could I? I want to be on radio. I want to work here and have a radio program. He said, well, come back when you're a little older. So I did. After 3 kids, meeting Tony and 3 kids, then I started working in television, because wherever Tony was in the Marine Corps, then I just go to the local radio station or television station and work there. And that's what we have to do sometimes. We have to see it, to follow through on our dreams. I even have my book that says, one of my books that's in here, talks about the dreams that we have and the dream giver. And I think we have to have some dreams in life and things that we would like to do. And then Tony and I read every day. We read the Bible through every year, and we have our devotional of the morning. And when I saw this in Philippians 3:13, where it talks about, Paul is talking about, this one thing I do, forgetting those things which are behind and reaching forth to those things which are before. One of the things I think the Lord wants us to do, how many of you have had not just a perfect 2010, where there's some things about 2010 that maybe you'd like to have changed, like your teeth. Yeah, Terry Lee, they're good. And maybe a few pounds different. Well, that's what a taste of heaven in 2011 can be, is working something for the future for you, and think about just little tiny things that you could do that would make life a little better. Just for me, it was making that bed every day. It was just doing, maybe clean out one drawer in the kitchen. I don't know about you, but I have a drawer that is my junk drawer. It just seems like anything that's loose, I can stick it in that drawer. Well, every once in a while, at least once a year, I like to get in and clean out that drawer. But I try to clean one drawer or one closet every week. And by the time I get all the way around, another year's gone by, because I didn't always reach my goal of doing that. But I think that's what we have to do. We have to think of the future. We have to think of what we'd like to accomplish, because he talks about leaving those things behind and reaching forward to the future. And I think, like she said, her teeth, one of the things he also talks to us about in Psalms 137 and 8 is, the Lord will perfect that which concerneth me. me, the mercy of the Lord endureth forever. Forsake not the works of thine own hands. That he will perfect that which concerns us. And I think that when we say we want to weigh a certain amount, we want to keep our house clean, work on it every day, we're going to do our job, save a little bit more money, forget about some of the things that we thought we needed to have, and maybe to have them have, you know, save a little more money and just put change in a jar or something. When you get back from the grocery store, put your change in a jar or in something, and you'll be surprised how quickly that change will you look at it a couple months later, and you got quite a bit of quarters and dimes and nickels and pennies in there that are just wonderful, that feel like you're saving some money. I wanted her to have you to bring a hat. I emailed her, but probably emailed her too late. And my husband, since we spent that decade in Texas, I think he always wanted me to be a cowgirl. So, and I like to think in terms of the hats we wear in life. So what I'd like to do now is to start here. We're going to focus. One of the things we do in our life, and women of the future, is decide what we want to achieve. And if we're going to forget those things that happened in 2010 and have a taste of heaven in 2011, then we are going forward. So what I'd like to do is, if I could do this and start way back there with Miss Terry Lee, and then I'm going to come forward. And Terry, I would like very much if you would stand up, and if you have to come up here, you come on so that we can hear you. And I want you to tell us about the different hats you wear in life. Come on, why don't you come up here, hon? You want to be ready. Everybody give her a hand while she's coming on. Come on, Miss Terry Lee. Is she a fun person?
Kathy DeMary is next, please.
She did it. Tell us the hats you wear in life.
The hats I wear in life.
Do you mind being a cowgirl?
No.
Okay.
That's great. I'm a cowgirl. Let's see, I wear my fishing hat. I wear my stocking cap when I'm outside and it's cold. I have a little felt hat that I wear to work for decoration. Let's see, I have a baker's hat. I wear a baker's hat.
A white
chef's hat. Yeah, a white chef's hat.
And a white hat.
Oh, a white hat.
Yes.
And the mother hat. I haven't figured that one out yet. And a grandmother hat, but that's the biggest joy of all.
I don't understand that one.
Let's see.
Mm-hmm.
And a friend hat.
Mm-hmm.
And do we have a Christian hat?
Yes, of course you do. And
Is that pretty good?
that's good.